So, you've got this dream, right? Working on airplanes. It takes a special kind of dedication for sure. Today, we're going to break down the first major hurdle on that path, the FAA Airframe exam. This is really where your journey to becoming a certified aviation maintenance technician, or AMT, kicks into high gear. You've got the passion, you've got the drive, and you're just fascinated by these incredible machines that conquer the skies. But, turning that passion into a real career isn't just about wanting it. It's about proving you have the smarts to keep those machines safe. So, how do you actually make that leap from enthusiast to expert? Well, before you can even think about touching a single rivet, you've got to master the theory. The written exam is basically the gatekeeper to the hangar. It's that first big step on your path to earning that coveted AMP license. All right, so to help you get your head around all this, think of this explainer as your pre-flight checklist. We'll start with the essential gear you'll need, we'll cover the systems you have to know inside and out, we'll decode the exam itself, look at what happens after you pass, and finally, talk about what it takes to really earn your wings.
Every pilot needs a flight plan, and for this exam, your absolute go-to tool is going to be the ASA Airframe Test Guide. Seriously, consider this your co-pilot. It's designed to guide you through any turbulence and make sure you know exactly what the FAA is going to throw at you.
But here's the thing, and this is really important. The mission of this guide is about way more than just memorizing answers. The real goal isn't just to help you pass a test. It's to build that deep, fundamental knowledge you're going to need to be a safe, competent, and trusted technician out in the real world. And honestly, this is where the guide is worth its weight in gold. The questions, they're pulled right from the FAA's own source material. And get this, it includes 5 online practice tests. So this isn't just about reading, it's about doing. It's about building that muscle memory and confidence so you can walk in on exam day and just absolutely own it. Okay, so what kind of knowledge are we talking about here? Let's get into the nuts and bolts of it. Literally, the exam covers the entire ecosystem of an aircraft. Everything from the skin and bones of the airframe to all the complex systems that actually bring it to life. And wow, the amount of stuff you need to know is huge. We're talking everything from the basics of sheet metal and composites, all the way to the super intricate workings of hydraulic, electrical, and cabin atmosphere control systems. You're pretty much expected to be an expert on it all, from the landing gear right up to the final inspection. Okay, let's try one out, yeah? This is a sample question straight from the guide. A well-designed rivet joint will subject the rivets to what kind of load? Take a second. Are the rivets being squashed, which is compression, stretched, which is tension, or kind of sliced, which is shear? All right, if you guessed shear loads, ding, 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 you got it. And the guide explains it perfectly. The joint is engineered so the main force acts like a pair of scissors on the rivet. And that's exactly the force a rivet is built to handle. See? It's that kind of specific, critical knowledge that turns into points on the exam. Ready for another one? This time, let's talk about composite structures. Why are those metal honeycomb panels all over modern aircraft? Is it because they have a high strength-to-weight ratio, simply because they're lighter, or because they resist corrosion better? And the answer is A. The real magic of honeycomb construction is that incredible strength-to-weight ratio. It's unbelievably strong for how little it weighs. Again, you can see how the guide really zeroes in on the exact concepts and wording you're going to face on the real test. All right, so you've been hitting the books. You've got the knowledge packed in your brain. But that's only half the battle, right? You also need to understand the battlefield itself. So let's decode the structure of the exam so there are absolutely no surprises on test day. So here are the vital stats. You're looking at 100 multiple choice questions, and you've got a 2-hour window to get them done. Your target? A score of 70 or higher. It's a clear challenge, and just knowing these numbers is the first step to beating it. And with only 2 hours on the clock, you've got to be smart about how you tackle it. The guide lays out a great strategy. First, read the question and really understand it before you even look at the answers. Then try to figure out the answer in your own head. Then find the option that matches. If one stumps you, don't sweat it. Just mark it and come back later. And of course, before you hit submit, do one last check to make sure everything has an answer. Look, passing the written test is a huge deal, a massive milestone, but it's not the finish line. Think of it more like your boarding pass for the final, hands-on part of your certification, the oral and practical exam. And this is where the written and practical tests connect in a really cool way. When you get your written exam score report, it'll have something called learning statement codes, or LSCs. These things are incredibly valuable. They actually pinpoint the exact subjects where you got questions wrong, basically giving you a personalized study guide for what's next. And believe me, this is so important because the designated mechanic examiner, the person who does your oral and practical test, they get that same report. They will use those codes to zero in on your weak spots. So the written test isn't just some hurdle, it's a diagnostic tool that helps shape your final evaluation. All right, let's bring this all in for a landing. We've gone over the content, the strategy, and what comes next. Now let's focus on that moment of truth, passing the test and what that feels like. 70. That's it. That's the magic number. 70%. It's that clear, totally achievable goal that all your hard work and studying has been leading up to. And you know what's awesome? No waiting around for weeks, chewing your fingernails off. The second you finish that exam, boom, your score pops up right there on the screen. You'll know in that instant if you've cleared the hurdle. The moment you pass, that official Airman Knowledge Test report becomes your golden ticket. It's good for 24 months, which gives you a full 2 years to schedule and pass your oral and practical. That piece of paper is your official entry into the final stage of becoming certified. And really, that brings us right back to where we started. The whole point of this entire process is to make sure that every single AMT out there is safe, competent, and reliable. With the right guide, a good strategy, and a lot of hard work, that path is totally clear. So the only question left is, are you ready?